The Mercedes slowed to a crawl in Lagos traffic. Through the tinted window, Ethan Okonkwo's world shattered. There, under the flickering streetlight near Eko Bridge, his wife Sophia knelt on the pavement, visibly pregnant, their 2 children beside her. A cardboard sign rested against her swollen belly. His hands trembled on the steering wheel as their eyes met, and she looked away in shame. Welcome to TJ Stories, where we bring you the most compelling tales of love, betrayal, and redemption from the heart of Africa. I'm TJ, and today's story will leave you speechless. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You don't want to miss what happens next. And if you're already part of our family, of the Eco Hotel, drop a comment and let me know. Dancing shadows. What would you do if you found your family begging on the street? Ethan Okonkwo adjusted his custom-made agbada, the rich indigo fabric embroidered with gold thread that caught the light with every movement. Around him, oil magnates, tech entrepreneurs, and old money families mingled, their laughter mixing with the live band's interpretation of contemporary high-life music.
Ah, Ethan.
Chief Adebayo approached, his belly preceding him like a ship's prow. I hear your construction company just won the marina development contract. 30 billion naira, ABI. Ethan smiled, accepting the older man's handshake. News travels fast, Chief. We thank God. God and your sharp business sense. Chief laughed, slapping Ethan's shoulder. Your father would be proud. From that small bricklaying business in Mushin to this? Extraordinary. As Chief Adebayo moved on to other guests, Ethan's phone buzzed. A text from Isabella, his assistant. Everything ready for tomorrow's site inspection. Your wife called the office today asking about your schedule. He frowned slightly. Sophia rarely called his office. He typed back. Did she say why? No. Just wanted to know when you'd be home. Ethan glanced at his Patek Philippe. 10:47 p.m. The gala would run until midnight at least. Then there was the private afterparty with potential Chinese investors. He'd promised Sophia he'd try to leave early, but business was business. She understood that. She always had. Across the room, he caught sight of his reflection in the massive gilded mirrors. At 38, he'd achieved what his father had only dreamed of. The boy who'd hawked pure water in traffic now owned a construction empire with projects across West Africa. 3 houses, one in Lekki, one in Abuja, one in London. For luxury cars. Investments that generated money while he slept. And a beautiful family waiting at home. His phone buzzed again. This time, a photo from Sophia. Their children, 6-year-old Chidi and 4-year-old Amara, already in their pajamas, holding a sign that read, "We miss Daddy." His heart squeezed. Chidi had his serious eyes, while Amara had inherited Sophia's warm smile. He typed, "Papa will be home soon. Kiss them for me." The response came quickly. "They're already sleeping. I'm tired too. See you tomorrow." Something in those words nagged at him, but before he could analyze it, a hand touched his elbow. Damien Blackwell, his business partner on the marina project, stood beside him with 2 glasses of champagne. "You look distracted," Damien said, his British-Nigerian accent polished from years at Oxford. "Everything all right?" "Just family," Ethan said, accepting the glass. "You know how it is." "Actually, I don't," Damien smiled, still enjoying the bachelor life. "But I've been meaning to ask. How's Sophia? Haven't seen her at these events lately." "She prefers staying home with the children," Ethan said, "especially now with the new baby coming." "Ah yes, congratulations on that." Damien's smile didn't quite reach his eyes. "How far along is she?" 7 months. "And everything's good? Between you two?" Ethan studied his partner's face. They'd known each other for 5 years, built 2 successful projects together. But Damien had an unsettling habit of asking overly personal questions. Why wouldn't it be? No reason. Damien sipped his champagne. Just that marriage and business, they both require attention. Sometimes men in our position, we get so focused on building empires that we forget to maintain what we already have. Before Ethan could respond, the Chinese investors arrived, and the next 2 hours dissolved into negotiations conducted in a mixture of English, Pidgin, and halting Mandarin. By the time he finally left the hotel, it was past 2 a.m. His driver, Emeka, opened the Mercedes door. Home, Oga. Yes. And Emeka, I need you to do something for me tomorrow. Quietly. Yes, sir. There's a jewelry shop in Ikoyi Aduni's. I want you to pick up something special for my wife. Something to remind her that she's appreciated. Emeka smiled. Very good, sir. Madam will be happy. As they drove through the nearly empty streets of Victoria Island, Lagos's nightlife still pulsing in pockets. The late-night suya spots, the clubs pumping Afrobeats into the humid air. Ethan felt that nagging sensation again, like something was off balance in his carefully constructed world. The house in Lekki Phase 1 sat behind high walls and a security gate. Home. He'd bought it 3 years ago, a sprawling compound with a swimming pool, a playground for the children, and enough rooms that he sometimes forgot which was which. The security guard snapped to attention as the car approached. Inside, the house was dark except for a single lamp in the living room. Sophia sat on the leather sofa, still dressed despite the hour, her pregnant belly prominent under her Ankara dress. You're awake, Ethan said, surprised. She looked up at him, and in her eyes, he saw something he couldn't name. Not anger exactly. Something deeper. Resignation, perhaps. We need to talk, she said quietly. It's late, baby. Can't it wait until morning? It's always late, Ethan. And there's always morning. And morning never comes for us anymore. He sat down beside her, catching the familiar scent of her shea butter lotion. What's wrong? Is it the baby? Are you feeling okay? The baby is fine. I'm fine. Physically. She placed her hand on her stomach. But Ethan, when was the last time you were really here? Not just your body sleeping in our bed, but actually here with us. I'm building something for our future. We have enough, she interrupted, her voice cracking. We have more than enough. But the children ask me every day when Daddy will play with them. Chidi told his teacher that his father lives at work. And I. She paused, wiping her eyes. I feel like a single mother who happens to share a house with a stranger. Guilt washed over him, but so did defensiveness. Everything I do is for this family. This house, the cars, the schools. I grew up in a one-room apartment in Surulere, Sophia said. My parents had nothing but love and time. We were happy. Our children have everything except their father. Ethan reached for her hand, but she pulled away. A small gesture that felt like a chasm opening between them. I'm sorry, he said. Tomorrow I'll come home early. We'll have dinner together, the whole family. I promise. She stood up slowly, her movements heavy with pregnancy and something else. Defeat, maybe. You always promise, Ethan. And I always believe you. She walked toward the stairs. Good night. As he watched her climb to their bedroom alone, Ethan told himself he'd make it right. Tomorrow. Always tomorrow. He didn't know that in 3 days, he would find his pregnant wife and children begging under a bridge, and nothing in his perfect life would ever make sense again. The morning after the gala, Ethan woke to an empty bed. Sophia's side was cold, the indentation of her body already fading from the mattress. He checked his phone. 6:47 a.m. Downstairs, he could hear the familiar sounds of breakfast preparation, the housekeeper humming a gospel song. But when he came down, only the children sat at the dining table. Chidi pushed his cereal around the bowl while Amara colored in a Disney princess book, her small tongue poking out in concentration. Where's your mother? Ethan asked, kissing each of their heads. She left early, Chidi said without looking up. She said she had things to do. What things? The boy shrugged. She didn't say. She was crying again. That stopped Ethan mid-reach for the coffee pot. Again. Mama cries sometimes, Amara offered helpfully, not pausing in her coloring. At night, when she thinks we're sleeping. The housekeeper, Mrs. Adeyemi, emerged from the kitchen with fresh bread. She avoided Ethan's eyes. Oga, Madam said she'll be back this evening. She said you should not worry. But he did worry. Throughout the morning site inspection, through the afternoon meeting with architects, through the conference call with the Chinese investors, Sophia's absence sat in his chest like a stone. He called her phone 6 times. Each time it rang until voicemail. By evening, when she still hadn't returned, the worry had transformed into something sharper. Fear. Emeka, he called his driver. Take me home. Now. The traffic on Lekki Ape Expressway was its usual nightmare. A crawling mass of vehicles belching exhaust into the humid air. Hawkers weaved between cars selling everything from phone chargers to roasted plantain. Normally, Ethan would use this time to answer emails, make calls, plan his next move. But today he stared out the window, his mind churning. His phone rang. A known number. Hello, Mr. Okonkwo. The voice was male, unfamiliar, with an edge of something Ethan couldn't identify. Amusement, perhaps, or malice. You don't know me, but I know everything about you. Who is this? A concerned friend. Tell me, when was the last time you really looked at your wife? Not at the pregnant woman who manages your household, but at Sophia, the woman you married. Ethan's grip tightened on the phone. What do you want? I want nothing, but you want everything, don't you? That's why you're never home. That's why you didn't notice when things started falling apart. The caller paused. If you want to find your family, drive to Eko Bridge, the side that faces the lagoon, before midnight. Or don't. Maybe you're too busy. The line went dead. Ethan stared at the phone, his heart hammering. A prank? A threat? But the caller had known about Sophia, about his schedule, about Emeka, change of plans. Take me to Eko Bridge. Oga? Now? That area at night. Now. Before you find out what Ethan discovers under that bridge, let me remind you to hit that like button if you're invested in this story. And drop a comment telling me, has anyone ever betrayed your trust? How did you handle it? Your stories help us all feel less alone. Now back to Ethan's nightmare. The Mercedes wound through increasingly rough neighborhoods as they approached the bridge. The gleaming towers of Victoria Island gave way to the chaotic sprawl of the mainland. Wooden shacks, open gutters, the perpetual smell of burning trash mixing with frying akara. This was the Lagos that tourists never saw, that Ethan himself hadn't visited in years. Not since he'd escaped it. Under Eko Bridge, the city's forgotten gathered. The homeless, the mentally ill, the desperately poor. Generator-powered lights from nearby shops cast harsh shadows. The sounds of the third mainland bridge traffic above created a constant rumble, like distant thunder. Park here, Ethan said, his voice tight. Keep the engine running. Oga, please. This place is not safe. Let me come with you. But Ethan was already out of the car, his Italian leather shoes crunching on the debris-strewn ground. He pulled his phone out, using its flashlight to navigate the darkness. Around him, bodies stirred. Some sleeping, some watching him with the predatory alertness of people who had nothing left to lose. And then he saw them. At first, his brain refused to process the image. It was impossible. Some kind of trick of the light or a hallucination brought on by stress and lack of sleep. But as he moved closer, the truth crystallized with devastating clarity. Sophia knelt on a dirty mat, her pregnant belly prominent under a faded dress he didn't recognize. It wasn't one of the designer maternity clothes he'd bought her. This was something cheap, worn, the kind sold in Balogun Market for a few hundred naira. Beside her, Chidi and Amara huddled together, their school uniforms replaced by simple, threadbare clothes. In front of them, a cardboard sign, written in Sophia's neat handwriting, "Please help, pregnant with 2 children. Husband abandoned US. Anything you can give. God bless." Ethan's legs nearly gave out. The world tilted, sounds becoming muffled, distant. This wasn't real. Couldn't be real. He'd left his children eating breakfast in their mansion that morning. He'd seen them, spoken to them, kissed them goodbye. "Sophia," he whispered. Then louder, "Sophia." Her head snapped up. In the harsh light, he saw her face. His wife's face, but transformed. Hollowed out by exhaustion, marked by tears, carrying a weight of suffering he couldn't comprehend. Their eyes met, and in that moment, Ethan saw something that would haunt him forever. Shame. Pure, devastating shame. "Daddy." Amara's voice, small and frightened. Ethan stumbled forward, reaching for them. But Sophia grabbed the children's hands and pulled them back. "Don't," she said, her voice breaking. "Don't touch us." "What? I don't understand how." Words failed him. His mind couldn't construct a reality where this made sense. "Madam, you know this man?" An elderly woman sitting nearby asked, eyeing Ethan's expensive watch suspiciously. "He's nobody," Sophia said, pulling Chitty and Amara closer. Both children were crying now, confused and terrified. "He's nobody to us. Sophia, please. The children, let me take you home. All of you. Whatever this is. Whatever's happening. Home." She laughed, a bitter sound that cut through him. "You mean your home? The house where we're just decorations? Where you pass through like a guest?" A small crowd was forming now. Night vendors, other homeless people, curious onlookers drawn by the drama. Someone pulled out a phone, started recording. "The children," Ethan pleaded, ignoring the crowd. "Sophia, think about the children. It's not safe here. You're pregnant." "I'm always pregnant or caring for children," she snapped. "And it's never been safe. Not for years. You just never noticed." Chitty pressed his face against his mother's side, his small body shaking with sobs. Amara stared at Ethan with huge, frightened eyes, like he was a stranger. And maybe he was. When was the last time he'd really spent time with them? When was the last time he'd put them to bed, read them stories, been present for their nightmares and their triumphs? "Please," Ethan said, his voice cracking. "Please, just tell me what happened. Tell me what I did wrong. I'll fix it. Whatever it is, I'll fix it." "You can't fix this," Sophia said quietly, "because you don't even understand what's broken." She stood up then, despite her pregnant belly making the movement awkward. She gathered the children, the cardboard sign, the mat, every piece of this nightmare that shouldn't exist. "Where are you going?" Ethan demanded, panic rising in his throat. "Sophia, you can't just watch me." She walked away into the shadows under the bridge, the children stumbling alongside her, looking back at him with confusion and fear. Ethan moved to follow, but hands grabbed his arms. Security types who'd materialized from somewhere, holding him back. "Let the woman go, sir," one said, not unkindly. "She's made her choice. That's my wife. Those are my children." "Then maybe you should have treated them better," the security man said, releasing him. By the time Ethan broke free and ran in the direction they'd gone, they had vanished. He searched for an hour, calling their names, showing their photos to anyone who would look. But under Eko Bridge, in the labyrinth of Lagos's forgotten spaces, a woman and 2 children could disappear as easily as smoke. Finally, Emeka found him sitting on the curb, his head in his hands, his expensive agbada soiled with the dirt of the streets. "Oga, we need to go. This place." "I found them," Ethan said numbly. "I found my family. And they ran from me." As the Mercedes drove back toward Lekki, Ethan stared at his phone. The video someone had taken was already circulating on social media. He could see it in the blog headlines. Emeka was too kind to mention. Billionaire Okonkwo's family begging on streets? Marriage in crisis? Abandoned wife speaks. He's nobody to us. But worse than any headline was the image burned into his mind. His pregnant wife on her knees, begging. His children in rags. The shame in Sophia's eyes when she saw him. And underneath it all, a question that terrified him. What if the anonymous caller was right? What if he'd been so busy building his empire that he'd lost sight of the only things that truly mattered? What if he'd destroyed his own family without ever noticing? When they reached the house in Lekki, it felt like a mausoleum. Enormous, expensive, and completely empty. He climbed the stairs to the bedroom he shared with Sophia and found her closet door open. Half her clothes were gone. In the children's rooms, their favorite toys had vanished. On the dining table, he found a single envelope with his name written in Sophia's handwriting. Inside, just one line. "You chose your empire. Now live in it alone." Ethan sank into a chair, the letter trembling in his hands, and finally, for the first time since his father died, he wept. For 3 days, Ethan didn't go to work. For 3 days, he became someone he didn't recognize. A man who sat in the dark, staring at his phone, jumping at every notification hoping it was Sophia. His calls went to voicemail. His texts turned from desperate pleas to angry demands to broken apologies, all unanswered. On the 4th morning, Isabella appeared at his door. His assistant had a key for emergencies, and apparently, his 3-day absence from the office qualified. "Sir," she said, taking in his appearance. The wrinkled clothes, the unshaven face, the bloodshot eyes. "The Chinese investors are threatening to pull out. Damien has been calling non-stop. And the blogs." She hesitated. "The blogs are having a field day." "I don't care about the blogs." "You should." Isabella pulled out her tablet, showing him the headlines. They'd multiplied like bacteria. Okonkwo construction empire crumbling along with marriage. Sources say billionaire kept secret second family. Wife's desperate cry, "He destroyed us." "None of that is true," Ethan said hoarsely. "Then what is true?" "Sir, I've worked for you for 4 years. I've never seen you like this. What happened?" So he told her. Everything. The gala, the phone call, finding Sophia and the children begging under the bridge. The way they'd run from him. The empty house. Isabella listened without interrupting, her professional mask slipping to reveal genuine shock. "That doesn't make sense," she said finally. "I spoke to Mrs. Okonkwo just last week. She sounded fine. And the children, they were in school 3 days ago. I know because you asked me to arrange for their school fees to be paid directly." Ethan's head snapped up. "What do you mean 3 days ago?" "The day of the gala. You specifically asked me to confirm the payment went through. Their school confirmed both children attended classes that day. But I saw them under the bridge that same night. Around midnight." Isabella's eyes widened. "That's impossible, sir. Unless..." She paused, thinking. "Unless someone is orchestrating this. Making you see things, or..." "I'm not crazy," Ethan growled. "I saw my wife. I saw my children. I spoke to them. I'm not saying you're crazy. I'm saying someone might be manipulating the situation." Isabella stood up, her business mind clearly working. "Sir, with your permission, I'd like to do some digging. Quietly. Something about this feels orchestrated." "Do it. Use whatever resources you need. Money is no object." "There's one more thing," Isabella said carefully. "Mr. Blackwell has been asking a lot of questions about you. Personal questions. About your marriage, your family situation. I thought it was just concern. But now..." "Now what?" 3 days ago, I saw him meeting with someone at a restaurant in Ikoyi. A woman. They seemed intimate. When I mentioned it casually the next day, he denied being in Ikoyi at all. Something cold settled in Ethan's stomach. What did this woman look like? "I only saw her from behind. Slim, elegant, wearing an expensive gelly. She had her hand on his arm like..." Isabella trailed off, uncomfortable. "Like what?" "Like they were more than business associates. If you're watching this and thinking, I knew something was suspicious about Damien, drop a comment and let me know. You might be right. Don't forget to share this video with someone who loves a good mystery. They'll thank you later. Now let's see what Ethan uncovers. Ethan spent the next 2 days becoming a detective in his own life. He started with the house's security system, reviewing footage he'd never bothered to check before. What he saw made his blood run cold. For days before the gala, Damien had visited the house. Ethan had been at a site inspection in Abuja, gone for 3 days. The footage showed Damien arriving at 2 p.m., staying until almost 7 p.m. Sophia had let him in. They'd sat in the living room talking. At one point, Sophia had been crying. Why would his wife be crying with his business partner? Why had neither of them mentioned this visit? He called Mrs. Adeyemi, the housekeeper, who answered nervously. "Oga, I was wondering when you would call. Tell me about Damien's visit." For days before the gala. Silence. Then, "Oga, I don't want trouble." "You won't be in trouble. Just tell me the truth." "Mr. Blackwell came to see Madam. He said it was urgent." They talked for a long time. Madam was very upset after. She locked herself in the bedroom and cried. The next day she started packing bags. Small ones, like she was preparing for something. When I asked, she said she was donating clothes to charity. Did you hear what they talked about? Not everything. But I heard Mr. Blackwell say something about better this way, and the children deserve to know the truth. Madam was asking him why he was doing this, begging him to stop. He said, Mrs. Adeyemi's voice dropped. He said love makes people do crazy things. Ethan's hand tightened on the phone. Love.
Olga, I'm sorry.
I should have told you, but Madam swore me to secrecy. She said if you knew, it would destroy everything. After hanging up, Ethan sat in his study, pieces of a puzzle slowly clicking together. But the picture they formed was monstrous, unthinkable. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Check your wife's old email. Password is your wedding date. The truth will destroy you. His hands shook as he opened his laptop. Sophia had an old Yahoo email from before they married, one she rarely used anymore. He typed in their wedding date, 12th of July 2012, and the inbox opened. What he found there made him wish he'd never looked. Emails dating back 6 months. All from Damien. Dozens of them. At first, they were innocuous business updates that should have come to Ethan, not Sophia. Then they became personal. Compliments about her appearance at events. Comments about how Ethan didn't appreciate her. Then, more recent ones. I can't stop thinking about our conversation. You deserve so much more than this half-life he's given you. The children need a father who's present. I could be that for them. For you. If you won't leave him, then I'll give you a reason to. Sometimes we have to break things to rebuild them properly. The most recent email, sent 2 days before the gala. Everything is arranged. Trust me. When he sees what he's lost, he'll finally understand. And if he doesn't fight for you, then he never deserved you. Either way, you'll know the truth. Ethan's vision blurred. He read the emails again, then again trying to find another interpretation. But there was only one conclusion. Damien had been pursuing his wife. And when she'd refused him, because Sophia would have refused, Ethan knew that in his bones. Damien had orchestrated some kind of plan to destroy their marriage. But why would Sophia cooperate? The woman begging under the bridge had been real. Her pain had been real. Unless, his phone rang. An unknown number again. But this time he recognized the voice immediately. Mr. Okonkwo, Damien said smoothly. I hear you've been doing some research. Found anything interesting? Where is my wife? Your wife? Damien laughed. She's exactly where she wants to be. Away from you. What did you do? What did you tell her? I told her the truth. That you've been having an affair with your assistant. That you're planning to divorce her after the baby is born to avoid paying more child support. That you told me personally you regretted marrying someone beneath your status. Damien's voice was pleasant, conversational. All lies, of course, but she believed every word. You know why? Ethan couldn't speak, rage choking him. Because you made it easy to believe, Damien continued. You were never home, never present. So when I showed her doctored photos of you and Isabella at hotels, when I played her edited recordings of your voice saying terrible things, she had no reason to doubt it. Because the man who would say those things was the same man who missed his daughter's birthday party. Again. You sick. I'm not sick. I'm in love. And love, my friend, makes men do extraordinary things. I've wanted Sophia since the day I met her at your house 3 years ago. So elegant, so wasted on someone like you. Someone who treats his family like a hobby he occasionally remembers. Where is she? Ethan's voice was deadly quiet. Tell me where my family is, or I swear to God. Or what? You'll hurt me? Please. I have recordings of this conversation. I have witnesses who'll say you threatened me. I've been building this case for months. Damien paused. But I'm not completely heartless. I'll tell you where she is. Whether you can win her back, though, that depends on whether you can prove I'm lying. And good luck with that. Every piece of evidence I created is perfect. He gave an address in Aja, a lower middle-class neighborhood on the mainland. Then he hung up. Ethan was halfway to the door when Isabella grabbed his arm. "Sir, wait. You can't just rush in. If this is a trap, I don't care if it's a trap. My family is there. Then at least let me come with you. And sir," Isabella's voice softened, "those photos he mentioned? The ones of us at hotels? I've never been to a hotel with you. Ever. Every business trip, every meeting, they were all properly documented, witnessed. If he created fake evidence, we can prove it's fake. How long will that take? With the right tech expert? Maybe 48 hours. We can prove the photos are edited, the voice recordings are spliced together. But sir, we need time. I don't have time. My wife thinks I betrayed her. My children are terrified. Every day they spend believing those lies is a day I might lose them forever." Isabella nodded slowly. "Then we do both. You go to Aja. Bring them home if you can. And I'll work on destroying Damien's lies so thoroughly that he'll wish he'd never started this." "Why are you helping me?" Ethan asked suddenly. "This isn't in your job description." Isabella smiled sadly. "Because I've seen how you look at your family photos when you think no one's watching. Because I've heard how your voice changes when your daughter calls. You're not perfect, sir. You made mistakes. But you don't deserve this. And neither does your family." As Ethan drove toward Aja in the gathering darkness, his mind raced. He'd been so focused on building his empire that he'd missed a snake entering his garden. Damien had studied him, found every weakness, every gap in his armor, and exploited them all. But there was one thing Damien had miscalculated. Ethan Okonkwo hadn't clawed his way up from Mushin by giving up when things got hard. He'd survived poverty, his father's death, countless business failures, the contempt of people who said a bricklayer's son would never amount to anything. He'd survived all of that, and he would survive this, because his family wasn't just worth fighting for. They were worth destroying anyone who threatened them. The address led to a compound of modest flats, the kind where families hung washing on lines between buildings and children played football in the courtyard. So different from their home in Lekki, so different from everything he'd built. Ethan stepped out of the Mercedes, aware of curious eyes watching this wealthy stranger in their midst. He climbed the stairs to apartment 4B and knocked. For a long moment, nothing. Then the door opened a crack, and Chitty's face appeared, eyes widening in recognition and fear. "Daddy." His voice was barely a whisper. "Hello, son," Ethan said, his voice breaking. "Is your mother home?" Behind Chitty, he heard Sophia's voice. "Who is it?" "It's nobody, Mama," Chitty said. But he was crying now. "It's nobody." And Ethan understood then just how thoroughly Damien had destroyed him in his children's eyes. He'd become nobody, a stranger, a villain in a story they were too young to understand. "Chitty," Ethan said gently, "I know you're confused. I know you're scared. But please, let me talk to your mother. There are things she needs to know. Things someone lied about." The door opened wider. Sophia stood there, her pregnant belly prominent, her face harder than he'd ever seen it. "You have 5 minutes," she said. "Then I'm calling the police." "Sophia." 4 minutes and 50 seconds. Ethan stepped inside, and the door closed behind him. In that small apartment, surrounded by his family who now looked at him like a stranger, he began the fight for his life. The fight to prove that some lies are so well crafted, they can destroy everything. But the truth, messy and complicated and painful as it was, could still set them free, if he could find it in time. The apartment was barely a quarter of the size of their smallest room in Lekki. A single sofa with faded upholstery, a small TV on a plastic table, children's drawings taped to the walls. Through an open door, Ethan could see a bedroom with a mattress on the floor. This was where his family had been living, where his pregnant wife had been sleeping on the floor. "Talk," Sophia said, remaining standing. She kept herself between Ethan and the children, as if he might harm them, as if he were the monster Damien had painted him to be. "The photos," Ethan started, his voice urgent. "The recordings. Whatever Damien showed you, they're fake. All of it. Isabella is my assistant, nothing more." "I've never," Stop. Sophia held up her hand. Do you know what's worse than betrayal, Ethan? Being told I'm stupid for believing my own eyes. I saw the photos. You and that woman at the Transcorp Hilton in Abuja. At the wheat baker in Ikoyi. I heard your voice saying, her voice cracked, saying I was beneath you, that marrying me was the biggest mistake of your life. I never said those things. Damien edited. Damien has been more of a husband to me in the past 6 months than you've been in 6 years. The words exploded from her. He remembered Amara's birthday when you forgot. He came to Chitty's school play when you were too busy. He sat with me at the hospital when I had complications with this pregnancy, while you were closing another deal. The accusation hit Ethan like a physical blow, because parts of it were true. He had forgotten Amara's birthday. He had missed Chitty's play. He had been at a business dinner when Sophia called about the hospital, and he'd sent his driver to take her, promising to come later. He never had. I was building something for us, Ethan said weakly. Everything I did was for you, Sophia finished. Your empire, your legacy, your name. When was the last time you asked me about my dreams, Ethan? Do you even remember what I wanted to do before I became Mrs. Okonkwo, and my whole identity disappeared? He stared at her, and the shameful truth was, he didn't remember. There had been something about fashion design, maybe? Or was that her sister? You don't even know, Sophia said, reading his face. I wanted to be an architect. I had a partial scholarship to the University of Lagos. But then I got pregnant with Chitty, and you said we should marry, that you'd support my dreams. Do you remember that conversation? Yes, Ethan whispered. Lies. All of it lies. The moment that ring went on my finger, I became a fixture in your house. The woman who managed your domestic life while you built your kingdom. She wiped angry tears from her face. So when Damien showed me proof that you wanted to discard me for someone younger, someone more polished, someone who fit better into your new life, why wouldn't I believe it? You'd already discarded every promise you made me. Before we continue, I need to pause and ask you something. Have you ever felt invisible in your own relationship? Drop a comment and share your story. Sometimes we all need to know we're not alone. Hit that subscribe button because this story is about to take a turn nobody sees coming. Daddy. Amara's small voice came from behind Sophia. Are you the bad man Mama said? The question shattered something in Ethan's chest. He knelt down, trying to make himself less threatening, tears streaming down his face. No, baby. I'm not bad. I'm someone who made terrible mistakes, who forgot what was important. Mr. Damien is nice, Amara continued innocently. He brings us ice cream. He makes Mama smile. Ethan closed his eyes, imagining it. Damien playing the hero, filling the gaps Ethan had left, building trust so that when the moment came to destroy everything, Sophia would have nowhere else to turn. How long? Ethan asked Sophia. How long has he been coming around? 6 months. He started dropping by when you were away on business trips. Said he wanted to check on us, make sure we were okay. I thought he was being kind. A good friend. Her voice turned bitter. I was so lonely, Ethan. So desperate for adult conversation that wasn't about your schedule or your business. And he was there. Always there. And you never thought that was strange? That my business partner was spending that much time with my wife. I thought he was a better man than you, Sophia shouted. I thought at least someone cared about whether I was happy, whether the children were okay, whether carrying this baby was. She stopped, her hand going to her belly. Whether what? Ethan stood up, alarmed. Sophia, what's wrong? Nothing. Everything. She sank onto the sofa, exhausted. The doctor said the stress isn't good for the baby. High blood pressure, risk of preeclampsia. But how can I not be stressed when my entire life fell apart? Ethan wanted to go to her, to hold her. But the way Chitty immediately moved to stand guard beside his mother stopped him. His own son protecting Sophia from him. I have proof, Ethan said desperately. Isabella is gathering evidence that the photos are doctored, that the recordings are fake. Give me 48 hours. 2 days. Then you'll see. I don't care about proof anymore. Sophia said tiredly. Even if Damien lied about the affair, he didn't lie about everything else. You were never here. You chose your business over us every single time. A fake affair or a real one? What's the difference when the result is the same? I lost my husband years ago. Then let me earn you back. Ethan's voice was raw. Let me prove that I can change. That I can be the man you needed me to be. People don't change, Ethan. They do. When they have a reason to. And you, all of you, you're my reason. Sophia looked at him for a long moment, and in her eyes, Ethan saw the war being waged. The woman who'd loved him enough to sacrifice her dreams, fighting against the woman who'd been hurt too many times to trust again. 2 days, she said finally. Bring me this proof. Show me that Damien lied. But Ethan, her voice hardened. Even if you prove the affair was fake, you still have to prove something else. That you can be a father. A real one. Because I won't raise these children in a mansion where their father is a ghost. I'd rather raise them in this apartment where they know they're loved. I do love them. I love all of you. Then show us. Not with money or houses or expensive gifts. Show us with time. With presence. With sacrifice. She stood up, moving toward the bedroom. Now leave, please. I need to rest, and the children need to feel safe. As Ethan walked back down the stairs, he felt the weight of those words. The children need to feel safe. Safe from him. Their own father. In the Mercedes, Emeka waited patiently. Home, Oga.
No.
Ethan pulled out his phone, dialing Isabella. Take me to the office. I have work to do. Oga, it's past 10 p.m. I said take me to the office. Because Sophia was right. He couldn't just prove Damien had lied. He had to prove he was capable of being the man his family deserved. And that meant destroying the snake who'd invaded his garden, piece by piece, lie by lie. Damien had spent 6 months building his trap. Ethan had 48 hours to dismantle it. But as they drove through the Lagos night, past the sleeping city that never truly slept, Ethan made himself a promise. When this was over, when he'd exposed every lie and reclaimed his family, he would never again forget what truly mattered. Some lessons, he thought, staring at a photo of Sophia and the children on his phone, were learned too late. But he refused to believe it was too late for them. He refused to believe that love, real love, couldn't survive even the most perfectly crafted lies. Isabella was waiting in Ethan's office when he arrived, her laptop open, papers spread across the conference table like a war room. Beside her sat a young man with thick glasses and the slightly disheveled look of someone who lived more in digital spaces than physical ones. This is Tund, Isabella said. Best digital forensics analyst in Lagos. He owes me a favor. More like I owe your brother a favor, Tund corrected, not looking up from his screen. But family is family. Mr. Okonkwo, I've been going through the files Isabella sent me. Whoever created these forgeries knew what they were doing. Professional grade work. Can you prove they're fake? Ethan asked urgently. Already done. Tund turned his laptop around, showing a photo of Ethan and Isabella at what appeared to be the Transcorp Hilton. In the image, they were standing close, her hand on his arm, both laughing. It looked damning. See this? The metadata says it was taken 4 months ago. But look at the background, that artwork on the wall? The hotel didn't install it until 2 months ago. I verified with their interior designer. He pulled up another image. And this one, supposedly at the Wheat Baker? The shadows are all wrong. The light source is coming from 3 different angles. Impossible unless your mistress is dating a vampire. Tund grinned at his own joke, then sobered at Ethan's expression. Sorry. But the point is, these are composites. Someone took real photos of you both at different locations and merged them. Skillful but not perfect. What about the voice recordings? Isabella asked. That's trickier. They used AI voice cloning software. Probably fed it hours of Mr. Okonkwo's speeches, interviews, phone calls. The result sounds authentic because it essentially is his voice, just saying things he never actually said. Tund typed rapidly. But AI always leaves digital fingerprints. Microstutters in the audio wavelength, slight variations in pitch that human vocal cords don't make. I can prove these recordings are synthetic, but it'll take time to generate a report that would hold up legally. How much time? 12 hours. Maybe less if I don't sleep. Then don't sleep, Ethan said. Whatever you need, money, equipment, coffee, it's yours. Just one question, Tun said, looking at Ethan directly for the first time. Why would someone go to this much trouble? This isn't a simple frame job. Whoever did this spent serious money. Had access to your schedule, your locations, probably your phone. This is personal. It is personal, Ethan said grimly. He wants my wife. Tund whistled low. Man, that's some next-level obsession. Isabella's phone buzzed. She read the message, her expression darkening. Sir, you need to see this. Damien just posted on Instagram. She showed him the screen. Damien, impeccably dressed as always, standing in front of a construction site, their construction site, the marina development. The caption read, "When partners lose focus on what matters, true leaders step up. Exciting announcement coming tomorrow about the future of Okonkwo Blackwell construction. Stay tuned." He's making a move on the company, Isabella said. Ethan's jaw clenched. Of course he is. Destroy my family, steal my business. He wants everything. Can he do that? Tund asked. Legally, I mean? We're 50-50 partners, Ethan said. But I've been absent for a week. If he can prove I'm unstable, unable to manage my responsibilities, he might be able to force a buyout or convince our investors to side with him. Then we hit him from both sides, Isabella said, her voice taking on the sharp edge that made her such an effective assistant. Tund proves the forgeries. I'll dig into Damien's finances, find out where he got the money for all this. And you, sir, you need to talk to your lawyer. Protect the company before tomorrow. No. Ethan stood up, pacing. That's what he expects. He's counting on me to play defense, to scramble to save my business while my family falls apart. That's the whole point. Make me choose between the company and Sophia, knowing whichever I choose, I lose something. So what do you want to do? Isabella asked. A slow smile spread across Ethan's face. Not a happy smile, something darker, more dangerous. I want to give him exactly what he wants. Public confrontation. Tomorrow, at the site. If you think you know where this is going, drop a comment and tell me. And don't forget to hit that like button. We're about to see Ethan remind everyone why you don't mess with a man who built an empire from nothing. Now let's watch Damien's carefully laid plans start to crumble. The next morning, Ethan stood in front of his bathroom mirror, shaving carefully, adjusting his tie with steady hands. He looked at his reflection, the same face that had stared back at him a week ago, but somehow different, harder, more focused. His phone rang. Sophia. Hello. The children want to talk to you. Her voice was neutral, careful. Is that okay? Of course. Daddy. Amara's voice, tentative. Mama says you're fighting the bad man today. Something like that, baby. Are you going to win? Ethan closed his eyes. Yes, sweetheart. I'm going to win. Good. Because Mr. Damien isn't as nice as we thought. Yesterday he came by and he was mean to Mama. He said bad words. Ethan's grip tightened on the phone. What did he say? I don't know. Chitty made me go to the other room. But Mama was crying after. After speaking with both children, Sophia came back on the line. He knows you talked to me. He came by yesterday afternoon. Said if I testified against you in any legal proceedings, he'd make sure I never saw a naira of your money. She paused. That I'd raise these children in poverty just like I deserved for choosing a street rat who got lucky. He said that. His mask is coming off, Ethan. I'm starting to see. I don't know what I'm seeing. But I know I don't feel safe around him anymore. Stay in that apartment. Don't answer the door for anyone except me or Isabella. I'm ending this today. By noon, the marina construction site was crowded. Damien had arranged a press conference inviting business reporters, bloggers, even a few TV cameras. The story of the billionaire's marriage collapse had captured public attention, and now everyone wanted to see the next chapter. Damien stood on a makeshift stage, microphone in hand, looking every inch the successful businessman. Behind him, architectural renderings of the marina project gleamed in the sunlight. "Thank you all for coming," Damien began. "As you know, Okonkwo Blackwell Construction has been going through some challenges recently. My partner, Ethan Okonkwo, has been dealing with personal issues that have affected his judgment and his ability to lead." "That's interesting." Ethan's voice cut through the crowd. He walked forward, Isabella and Tund flanking him, both carrying tablets. "Please continue. Tell everyone about my judgment issues." Damien's smile never wavered. "Ethan, I didn't think you'd come, given your situation." "My situation?" Ethan stepped onto the stage. "You mean how my wife and children were found begging on the streets? How my marriage fell apart? How I've been absent from work for a week? Is that the situation you're referring to? I understand you're upset." "I'm not upset, Damien.
I'm curious.
Ethan turned to address the cameras directly. "See, I've been investigating something. A mystery. How does a billionaire's family end up begging when they have access to multiple bank accounts? How does a wife who never complained before suddenly believe her husband is having an affair? Ethan, this isn't the place." "Oh, but it is." Ethan signaled to Isabella, who connected her tablet to the projection screen behind them. "Because you made it the place. You invited the press to witness my downfall. So let's give them a show." The screen lit up with the doctored photos, Ethan and Isabella at various hotels. The crowd murmured. "These photos," Ethan said, "were shown to my wife as proof of an affair. Convincing, right? Except..." He nodded to Tund, who pulled up the forensic analysis. "The metadata doesn't match. The backgrounds are impossible. The lighting defies physics. These images are fabrications. Professionally made, expensive fabrications designed to destroy my marriage." Damien's smile was beginning to crack. "Anyone can claim photos are fake." "True," Ethan agreed. "So let's talk about the voice recordings. The ones where I supposedly said terrible things about my wife." He played a clip, his voice saying cruel, dismissive things about Sophia. Several people in the crowd winced. Then Tund stepped forward. "That recording uses AI voice cloning technology. Here's the waveform analysis showing the digital artifacts. Here's the comparison with actual recordings of Mr. Okonkwo. And here," he pulled up bank records, "is the payment from a shell company to a voice synthesis firm. A shell company that traces back to accounts controlled by Damien Blackwell." The crowd erupted. Cameras flashed. Reporters shouted questions. "That's absurd," Damien said, but his voice had lost its confidence. "Why would I?" "Because you wanted my wife," Ethan said quietly, stepping closer. "You told me yourself. You've been in love with her for 3 years. So you spent 6 months worming your way into her life, filling the gaps I left, making yourself indispensable. And when she still wouldn't leave me, you decided to destroy me instead. Make her believe I'd betrayed her so completely that she'd have nowhere else to turn. You can't prove any of this. I can prove all of it." Isabella stepped forward with a thick folder. "Financial records showing you embezzled company funds to pay for the forgeries. Emails to the tech firms. Text messages to Mrs. Okonkwo that cross every professional boundary. And..." She paused for effect. "A recorded conversation where you confessed everything to Mr. Okonkwo. Interesting that you didn't know his phone was recording during that call. It was a bluff, they had no such recording. But Damien didn't know that." His face went pale. You can't." "Can't what?" Ethan asked. "Expose you? Destroy your reputation the way you tried to destroy my family." He turned to the cameras. "Damien Blackwell is a fraud. He's embezzled from our company, fabricated evidence, and stalked my wife. I'm announcing today that I'm buying out his partnership stake and pressing full criminal charges." "You don't have the votes," Damien said desperately. The board just emailed me," Isabella said, showing her phone. "Unanimous decision to remove you, effective immediately. Turns out investors don't like partners who commit fraud." Damien looked around wildly, seeing his carefully constructed world collapsing. Security guards were already moving toward the stage. "This isn't over," he hissed at Ethan. "You think you've won? You still lost years with your family. You still chose your empire over them. I didn't make you do that, you did." The words hit home because they were true, but Ethan stood his ground. "You're right," he said. "I did make those choices. I did fail my family. But the difference between you and me, I'm gonna spend the rest of my life making it right. While you," he watched as the security guards reached them, "you're going to spend the next few years learning what happens when you try to destroy a man who built everything from nothing." As they led Damien away, the crowd erupted with questions. But Ethan wasn't listening. He was looking at the back of the crowd, where Sophia stood, the children beside her. She'd come. Despite everything, she'd come to watch him fight for them. Their eyes met across the chaos, and slowly, so slowly, she nodded. It wasn't forgiveness. Not yet. But it was a beginning. 3 months later, Ethan stood in the kitchen of their Lekki home at 6:30 a.m., flipping pancakes. Not just any pancakes. Mickey Mouse-shaped ones, because Amara had mentioned once months ago that she loved them. He'd remembered this time. "Something smells like burning," Chitty said from the doorway, rubbing sleep from his eyes. "That's called cooking," Ethan grinned. "Your old man is still learning." "Mama says you used to burn water," Chitty said, but he was smiling. These days he smiled more around Ethan. Not always, not easily, but more. "Your mama is right about most things." Ethan plated the pancakes, only slightly burnt, and added sliced bananas and honey. "Go wake your sister." Gently. As Chitty ran upstairs, Ethan heard the familiar sound of Sophia's footsteps. She moved slower now, her pregnancy in its 9th month. The baby due any day. She'd moved back home 6 weeks ago, though she'd insisted on separate bedrooms. "You're up early," she said, settling carefully into a chair at the kitchen table. "I'm up on time," Ethan corrected, placing a plate in front of her. "Eggs, toast, fresh orange juice." "There's a difference." She looked at the breakfast, then at him. "You know Mrs. Adeyemi could have made this. I gave her the month off. Paid, of course. She's visiting her daughter in Enugu." "Ethan, I know what you're going to say. That I can't cook. That I'm terrible at domestic things. That I'll burn the house down." He sat across from her. "You're probably right. But I need to learn. The children need to see me trying." Sophia picked up her fork, tasting the eggs. "They're good. Little too much salt, but good. I'll do better tomorrow." "You said that yesterday. And I meant it yesterday too." Something passed between them, not quite laughter, but close. These small moments had been building, brick by brick, like a house being reconstructed from rubble. The children thundered down the stairs, Amara squealing with delight at the Mickey Mouse pancakes. As they ate, Ethan listened to them talk about school, about their friends, about the upcoming Christmas party. He asked questions. He remembered their answers. He was present. After breakfast, instead of heading to the office, he drove the children to school himself. Chitty's teacher did a double-take when she saw Ethan at drop-off. "Mr. Okonkwo, what a surprise." "Not a surprise anymore," Chitty said proudly. "Daddy brings us every day now. Every day for 6 weeks. Never late, never missed." It was a small thing, but to Chitty it was everything. At the office, the dynamics had shifted. Ethan had restructured his entire schedule. No meetings before 9 a.m. or after 4 p.m. No business trips longer than 2 days. No working weekends unless it was absolutely critical, and even then only with Sophia's agreement. His competitors thought he'd gone soft. His shareholders had been nervous at first. But the company's numbers spoke for themselves. Productivity had actually increased. Turned out a CEO who left the office at reasonable hours made better decisions than one who was exhausted and disconnected. Isabella knocked on his office door at 3 p.m. "Sir, the contracts for the Abuja project are ready for your signature." Also, Mrs. Okonkwo called. She said, and I quote, "Tell my husband if he's late for the doctor's appointment. He's sleeping in his car tonight." Ethan checked his watch. The appointment was at 4:30. "Cancel everything after 3:30. I'm leaving now." "Already done, sir." I've learned to build in your family time before you even ask. Isabella smiled. Also, the police called. The case against Damien Blackwell goes to trial next month. They want to know if you'll testify. Absolutely. And Mrs. Okonkwo? Ethan paused. That's her choice. I won't pressure her. Damien had been arrested on multiple charges. Fraud, embezzlement, stalking, forgery. His reputation was destroyed, his business ventures collapsed. But the damage he'd done to Sophia, the psychological wounds, those were still healing. At the hospital, Ethan sat beside Sophia as the doctor performed an ultrasound. On the screen, their son, they'd learned it was a boy, moved and kicked. Strong heartbeat, the doctor said. Everything looks perfect. Any day now, this little one will make his appearance. Have you decided on a name? The nurse asked. Ethan and Sophia exchanged glances. They'd been discussing it for weeks, unable to agree. Chisholm, Sophia said suddenly. It means God follows me. Because through everything, even when we couldn't see it, God was following us, protecting us. Chisholm Okonkwo. Ethan tested the name. I like it. It's perfect. On the drive home, Sophia was quiet. Then softly, I'm proud of you. Ethan nearly drove off the road. What? These past 3 months, you've kept every promise. You've been present, patient, consistent. The children are happier. She paused. I'm starting to remember why I fell in love with you. Starting to. Ethan pulled over, turning to face her. Not there yet. Not there yet, she admitted. But closer. Trust isn't rebuilt in 3 months. Ethan. It takes time. I have time. I have all the time in the world. And the business? The empire you built. Still there. Still successful. Turns out I don't have to sacrifice my family to run a company. I just had to learn to prioritize differently. He reached for her hand, and this time she let him take it. I was chasing the wrong dream, Sophia. I thought success meant being the richest, the most powerful, the most respected. But that night, when I saw you under that bridge, when I realized I'd lost everything that actually mattered, that changed me. Damien didn't make you absent all those years, Sophia said. He just exploited what was already broken. I know, and I'm sorry. For all of it. For forgetting your dreams. For missing birthdays and plays and moments I'll never get back. For making you feel invisible in your own life. Tears rolled down Sophia's cheeks. I just wanted to matter more than a construction contract. You do. You always did. I was just too blind to show it. Ethan wiped her tears gently. I can't change the past. But I'm going to spend every day of our future proving that you, all of you, are my first priority. 2 weeks later, at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday morning, Sophia shook Ethan awake. It's time. The drive to the hospital was a blur. Ethan called Isabella, who immediately mobilized, calling Sophia's mother, arranging for the children to be picked up from the neighbors where they'd been sleeping, handling every detail so Ethan could focus on his wife. In the delivery room, as Sophia squeezed his hand hard enough to break bones, Ethan thought about the journey that had brought them here. The betrayal, the lies, the moment he'd almost lost everything. How close they'd come to destruction. And then, at 6:47 a.m., Chisholm Okonkwo entered the world, screaming his lungs out. He's perfect, Sophia whispered, exhausted and radiant. Just like his mother, Ethan said, kissing her forehead. When Chitty and Amara arrived later that morning, their faces lit up at meeting their baby brother. The 5 of them, a family reunited, scarred but stronger, sat together in that hospital room, and for the first time in years Ethan felt complete. A phone buzzed. Ethan's work phone. An emergency at the construction site, the message said. Critical decision needed immediately. He silenced it without reading further. Don't you need to check that? Sophia asked. No, Ethan said, taking his son from her arms, marveling at the tiny fingers that wrapped around his thumb. I'm exactly where I need to be. And he was. What a journey, wasn't it? From the shocking moment under that bridge to this beautiful reunion. Ethan's story reminds us that it's never too late to change, to fight for what matters, and to rebuild what was broken. If this story touched your heart, show some love by hitting that like button and dropping a comment below. Tell me, do you believe people can really change? Have you ever had to fight to save your family? Share your story. This community is built on real people with real experiences. And if you're not already subscribed to TJ Stories, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our next powerful tale. We've got more stories of love, betrayal, redemption, and justice coming your way. Share this video with someone who needs to hear that broken things can be mended, that lost trust can be rebuilt, and that sometimes the biggest empires mean nothing without the people we love. I'm TJ, and remember, every ending is just a new beginning. I'll see you in the next story. Stay blessed, stay strong, and keep fighting for what matters. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Until next time,